Estimados pasajeros, bienvenidos a Punta Arenas. Hemos aterrizado a las 18 horas con 35 minutos, hora local. Es requerimiento de la autoridad aeronáutica que permanezcan sentados hasta que el capitán haya apagado la señal de abrochar cinturones y el avión esté completamente detenido en su posición final. Los teléfonos celulares podrán ser utilizados con todas sus funciones a partir de este momento.
The mythical Strait of Magellan.
Wow. Okay, can we take a picture of this?
We will have plenty of opportunities. Now, in the highway, unfortunately, my dear Judy, I cannot stop here, otherwise my friend Carlos could be fined. But you know what? I have some ideas. If we come to the wall with me, I have some favorite spot for pictures for the strait, and that is Tierra del Fuego Island, the one that you see. No, that is Magdalena, but you will start seeing another one over there that I will tell our friend here, describe the place, his hometown, her hometown. I'm so glad to have her because not only is one of our part of our team, OAT team, is also a good friend, mom of a beautiful girl, very experienced in the region. I'm so glad to have her as well. Her real name, by the way, is composed name, but she always simplifies and says no. Her real name is Maria Jose. Okay? But we are a family and we're going to treat her as a member of the family. And in our French, we have a nickname for her. And everybody knows her as with the nickname. What do you think the nickname is? No.
Knowing that there are blueprints from the construction of the carracks in Spain and Portugal, a man from Punta Arenas city, my city, from the Matasi family, these are a family of navigators. He thought, what if I get the blueprints? What if I find them, original ones? He did. He found blueprints of the carracks of the Victoria in Portugal. Bought them, got them here, and first built a small scale to see if he was going to be able to build an original one, you know, a 9 to 10 scale. And he did. So pretty soon, right now, if you look to your left hand side, you will see the replica of the Nao Victoria. We are coming back here tomorrow morning, but still, before we go into Punta Arenas, we wanted to show you that we're going to have a much closer, better understanding of what these people went through so they were able to circumnavigate the world. There is another boat. You notice to your right hand side a green and white one? There is another, a black one. We're going to talk about that one tomorrow. But the green and white one, this one here, yes, is called the Goleta Ancud. Does Ancud ring any bells? Yes? The Ancud. The Ancud is the one in charge of taking power over Magellan's Strait so that it would be Chilean. Without the Ancud navigating for 6 months to get here with carpenters, engineering, and the building of Bulnes Fort, probably Magellan's Strait would be French. Many French attempts to colonize here, to claim the jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction of Magellan's Strait. Because of that, the fort was built. I'm talking 1843 on. 1847 we have the first foundation of Punta Arenas, and then close to 1888 we have the arrival of the first sheep to our city. So by the first years of the 1900s, Punta Arenas is a blooming, powerful Petit Paris, that's what it was called, in the middle of Patagonia. Headquarters of all of Patagonia, including Argentina, Punta Arenas. Let me show you to your left-hand side. You have another nice view of Magellan Strait. This is an industrial sector. We have some of the storage houses for some of our duty-free center stores. Most of them family-owned business. Our economy is also quite different from some of the most popular cities in the country. We still have tons of family-owned business, farms, stores, supermarkets, and it's actually great. Being so far from everything, a collaboration economy or a collaboration economical system works very good. So you're gonna see this, well, again, to your left-hand side, Navy base, and the black ship that you see here was one of the ones guarding the Beagle Channel during the conflict we held with Argentina from November 1978 to 1985, 1984, when we finally were able to sign a peace treaty. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow too.
That was the top of war with Britain.
Vamos
War
ahí.
with Argentina.
We're entering Punta Arenas. Punta Arenas is 120,000 inhabitants. It's not that big, but it's not that small for being so isolated. Right now, number one economical activity is the coal mine production. We're extracting coal from an island. First year, the growth was 5%. Last year, that was higher than the Chile's entire country's growth. Still, controversial topic. These are open pits. The first one was opened last year. 3,000 acres of pit out of 19 open pits that are going to be open in a national reserve. I'm talking birds, penguins, whales, you name, natural beauty is there. So today, the opinion of the community is divided towards the extraction of coal in such a beautiful, pristine, protected area. Left-hand side, duty-free center. This is where we do our groceries. We get tons of importation. You know, Chile is free market, open economy, tons of economical agreements. It's still family-owned business. Tons of immigrants have their stores here. People from Arabia, people from Spain. But now we're on the 4th generation. So the great-grandchildren and grandchildren of these families are enjoying all the fruits of their family's labor. We get things from Argentina, France, Netherlands, Ben and Jerry's. My cappuccino, Ben and Jerry's, this is when I get it, yes. So when I watch my movie, my soap opera, this is where I get all my goodies and then I go home.
Is that an oil
Yes.
rig out there?
What was that?
Is that an oil rig or what's that thing?
An oil...
That big drilling ocean
No, it's a ship actually,
ship?
but I don't know exactly. That was here last night. Showed up.
Could be a platform.
See, we have a boat there, a huge ship with cargo that needs to be repaired. Probably this is one of the boats that will bring the stuff they need to work on the repair the other boat that is not sinking, but it's to the side on Magellan's waters, on the Straits waters. We continue going into Punta Arenas, and this is summer in Punta Arenas. You know, it doesn't get any more sunnier than this. Then in winter time we have about 5 hours of daylight. So this is when we go out, we ride our bikes, walk with our dogs, I eat our ice cream and enjoy the sun. It's vacation too, so we have a lot of people, and of course a lot of tourists, travelers, backpackers. They give that extra energy to the region during summertime.
You get like snow in winter?
Do we have snow in winter? Not like it used to be. We have some snow, a few inches. We can never tell what's gonna happen. When I was little, our lagoons, natural lagoons, would freeze and we would all go ice skating, have tons of snow throughout winter. And I'm talking June, July, and August. Now maybe a few days of snow in August. And this year, out of the blue, we had snow for 4 days straight in November. In November, it was nuts, yes. Which is not that great, because by November, the lambing season started. And the lambs are not prepared to withstand. This is why we control the mating, so that they are born in the springtime. Wasn't really good, but still we did not lose any of them, so it wasn't so bad. Our stadium to your left hand side, believe it or not, we do tons of sports outdoors. We have the soccer fields, and if it's raining, cats and dogs, 60 miles gusts of wind, doesn't matter, we still do. If not, if not, it would be very difficult to fight the depression that naturally comes with the lack of sunlight. So we do a lot of sports. We try at least to walk and to have a lot of social life, especially in winter time. We spend tons of time with the family, and also in pubs, coffee places, pizza places, stuff like that. When does it get dark? Now it will be darkish at around 11 p.m. Yes. It does not get fully dark. We don't have the real deep dark night in January in summertime. Yes. So when we received 2015, you could see light, and we had our lookout into Magellan's waters. You will actually see the boat that I've been telling you about, the one that has a problem that needs to be repaired. And do you see the pillars? There's the to your at 12:10, 12:15. That is the construction that used to be. Do you see the pillars?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That was it.
Okay, the light was light. Tomorrow we didn't have the time to do this, so we want to get off and take this picture. It's one of the most famous picture with the down and the straight.
All right. Two-masted sloop.
If I turn it on, 3, 2, 1.
We have a very interesting question about the native groups. I would like to go deeper into this tomorrow, because right now we're very close to the hotel. And actually about the bounty. Yes, people got paid to get rid of them. It was either them or the gold or the sheep. and the first immigrants were not gonna find a common ground with them, you know? Like, no. The native groups of Patagonia are considered to this day the most primitive natives of the entire American continent. Meaning what? Meaning that when they would turn 40, they were actually, in their minds, their neurological development, everything, about 12 years old. They lived constantly in an imaginary concept of reality. So sitting down with them and trying to explain private property was gonna get you nowhere. They started hunting the sheep. It was easier than the guanaco, very good, and they were given alcohol too. So what happened? That process of extermination of the native groups, it's the one thing that I would like to talk to you in a greater length, because it has so many different aspects to it. We have one, the bounty hunters, we have missions, we have the social aspect of their disappearance, and we have to also understand that they were no nuclear families, they were clans. So when you wanted to hunt one, you were hunting an entire family group in their territory, because they were divided in different sections of the land. They were nomads. They have horses, and not all of them. Some Selknam, some Aonikenk. And then I will show you a map where they came from, why they were called like that, what does that mean, Aonikenk, Selknam, Yamana. And we will see that it was actually quite easy for these groups to get rid of them. They were very naive, in a way, to take them to Europe, to this human zoos and things like that. No slaves, just to show them off as exhibits. Okay, we are going back to the main square. I will give the microphone to my boss, Alex. And again, welcome to Punta Arenas. And I have a few more things that we could. Thank you.
Adelante tuyos. Go back to you, Alex. Familia, I will need, and the hotel need your passports, okay? We need to make photocopies of it. We're going to do the check-in. You will go to your room and you will sleep until tomorrow if you want, okay? My point is, I always give options. For those who don't want to do that, you make the check-in and it's almost 8 o'clock. So 8 restaurant will be open, which is a good news. The idea is by 8:15-ish, okay? For those who wants to join us for 30 minutes, you know, walk around to show you ATMs, blah blah blah, and give you a couple recommendations for dinner if you don't want to have dinner.
Do that again. Uno más.
Dale, Barfi, feliz. Es como si fuese mala. No me digas.
Gosh. Right into the sun. Looks like it's raining, but it's not.
Hey, Dad, what?
Sometime in January, and we are at the tip of Patagonia, and we are on the 11th floor of the end of the South and North American continent. The very end.
Yes, okay. Now take it again. Say we're at the 11th floor at the end of the world. I'm looking left.
We are at the 11th floor of the end of the world. this is the end of Patagonia, and it's a Punta Arenas.
And away we go.
Let's go down to this pizza place.
Yeah, let's get a piece of pizza. Make sure I don't run into anything.
Wait, you're gonna hit the trash can, and the lady trash can.
Is this it?
Sushi bar.
Is this it? Is this it?
Go. Hurry.
Should we take a ride here and go back to the?
Yeah.
It's on that block. Tagging.
breaking everything. Today we have a very adventurous day. We're going to cross the Patagonian steppe, and but first of all we're going to see Magellan's boat. Okay, it's going to be just a quick stop. Don't get too excited because we need to keep going. Today is a long day. Our main purpose today is to arrive to the park and giving you some vistas and some nice pictures, and then we're going to let you know what else we will do. Okay? Are you there? See? You're quiet this morning. I never said that you be quiet. Bueno. Buenos días, Carlos. Buenos días, Cota.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, Cota.
No sé si la vamos a alcanzar. ¿Les puedo decir a los pasajeros que iba mi papá que me vino a dejar y saludarlo?
¿Cuál es tu papá?
Ahí va.
¿En la camioneta?
Sí, pero Carlos, no la vamos a alcanzar.
Hola.
Ha sido divertido.
Ahí lo chao. Si alcanzamos, alcanzamos.
If you look to your right hand side, that guy over there is my father, actually.
Here, in this car.
Yes, in that car. That's my dad. Busy morning. Well, this is the moment, the timing of traffic for Punta Arenas city. Everyone is going to their offices. Again, to our right hand side, the cemetery of Punta Arenas, we saw it yesterday. As you may have noticed, we trim our cypress trees in a dome shape. We can keep much better care of them. That way they're able to withstand the wind. Actually, when we go into the park, we're going to see that in some areas the dome shape is nothing but intelligent design. The more wind, the more dome-shaped shrub and bushes we're going to see. So what we are doing, trimming our trees like that, is imitating the intelligence design of nature for such extreme wind condition of the city. That was my dad. Again. Okay. We're driving to now Victoria. Let me tell you, we are going to do that in 3 different stages when we go in. The Nao Victoria has a storage area that is sería primer piso, the base of the Nao. That is the area that used to be a storage, and where all the trading would have happened if Magellan would have been able to reach the Molucca Island straight from Spain as he was thinking. So that sector was filled with wine, with little souvenirs from Europe, animals, and when I say animals, I'm talking about a cow that was right there. Only 2 people were allowed in that area. I'm talking about the carpenter and the man in charge of all the goodies that were kept in this storage room. It's an area that it's quite dark, that we have to remember was very humid, where the smells were extremely strong, that from time to time members of the crew could, smell all the scents going up through the Nao. The carpenter had to make sure that all the holes were kept sealed because water would go through. So there was almost constant evaporation in that area. At some point they had to create kind of a pump to remove all the accumulation of water to be able to continue navigating. Plus the sound of the animals, the cow and a few hens, kept the crew with better spirits. It also had a psychological effect, very similar to what we see today in pets allowed in hospitals. Gracias. Nowadays, we know that the presence of animals releases stress from us, that actually having pets is quite important to us. We feel better, we calm down. So it was not only the fact that the crew was told over and over again that they were going to have a barbecue at some point, but the presence of the animals kept the crew less stressed. If you could say stress, it was more about traumatic experience for them, especially as they were navigating the Atlantic and entering a strait, and then the way out to Pacific Ocean that is actually not quite Pacific. The second part, as we go up or when we go to the storage area, is the sector that was used for the crew to sleep a little bit. We're going to see that there is a very, very enclosed small room or level with a few hammocks. If you were not on duty, you could sleep for a few hours, if you could sleep in that area, quite dark. And let's remember that if you needed to rest, that place you were going to was right in between up deck and the storage. So you were exposed to all the smells coming from the storage part. A few things got rotten too, so let's just start adding to the experience. After that, we're gonna go carefully to a four area where we're gonna find the room of Ferdinand Magellan. Instead of having small sections divided of that area, they had an open room with a bed for Magellan, but it was used as an office, headquarters for the expedition. So they probably had a few desks, measuring tools, meetings were held with Sebastian, Elcano, and other people going in. Let's also remember that mutinies, it's different from today. Mutinies were communicated to the one in charge. He was told what was going to happen. People had a very different way to carry themselves. So that would be an area where Magellan had to sleep, but also had to hear a lot of threats. Yes, Magellan did not find himself in an easy leadership position. The crew was polyglot, not only from different countries, but also a polyglot, a complete different background and complete different expectations from this expedition. Some of them could not care less about the mission that Magellan found himself in, this turning people into Catholicism, or could not care less about the expansion of the European crown, but more on the money. A huge part of the crew wanted to find the spices and go back. They were not Shackletons. They did not have that extra thing that Magellan had. They just wanted to go back. So Magellan had a very rough time building his space as a leader of this expedition. And that would be the last part. The idea is for all of us to have a different view of what we have read. Of course, the now is not on water, but when we have navigating in the system that is what we consider technology today, it's very hard to imagine that you can set sails like that, with pieces of cloth and rope, and a ship like that navigate for almost 3 years. Let's also remember that they had tons of issues with water. They were not prepared to bring fresh water for such a long expedition. They had tons of problems with that. Today it would be unthinkable. unthinkable to depart without water. And that's actually one of the questions that people first ask. Can I drink the water on this boat? Will I be given water? And one more thing, we're almost there. One more thing, quite interesting too. They were able to get food, animals, when they enter Magellan Strait. They talk about the silly goose that they hunted for hundreds. The silly goose that was all along the shore, that was black and white, so silly that had difficulty walking and was really easy to catch. But here's a hint. This silly goose had feathers so thick that they could not pluck them off. They had to remove the skin. Very fatty. We're talking about the Magellan's penguin. Penguin, they were able to eat then a lot of fat and protein. That was probably another reason some of them were able to survive being so far. Not only guanaco, but also they ate penguins and probably other kind of birds that they found all along the shore. We have arrived. We're gonna get off the bus, and we need you to follow me to go first to the Nao Victoria. We're gonna start by the storage or cargo section. Then we're gonna photograph, if you want, the sector where the crew was able to sleep, and then we're gonna go to Magellan's room from home. Buenos días. Hijito. Yes, Ferdinand Magellan was the man that was able to circumnavigate the world, or his expedition was able to circumnavigate the world, departing from Spain in the year 1519, arriving to Magellan's Strait, that is actually right here, right there, November the 1st, the year 1520. His idea was to regain the control of the spice trading that Europe had lost many years ago in the first half of the 1400s, but he does not make it back to Spain. The expedition is able to enter the strait, then through the Pacific Ocean goes all the way up to the Philippine Islands, to what we know today as the Philippines. He passes away in Mactan in the hands of Lapu-Lapu. And Sebastián Elcano, second on board in this expedition, is the one to take all of Magellan's dream and conquer back to Spain, from the Philippines to in a straight line through southern Africa, and then all the way back to Spain.
And can you show me the ship?
Yes, of course. This is the Nao Victoria. This is the Carac. The owner found the blueprints in Portugal. He was able to rebuild a 9:10 scale, so it's almost an exact replica. And the idea is for us to understand better what the expedition was about, especially the human part of this expedition. Okay, so the levels we were talking about, or sections we were talking about, are right here. So when we go down to the cargo area, be careful because it's quite dark, so no shades, don't wear any shades when we go down. Right in the middle you're going to see a few no bunk beds, but hammocks, huh? Yeah. Where the crew used to sleep. Then we continue down and we are going to be in that area that used to be the cargo. Now this is the Carac. This is it. This is what Magellan was given by the Spanish crown to embark in the unknown. They trusted him, they believed in him, in his project. Probably when he presented the project to the king and queen, he had to bring also a scale of a Carac and show You know, what they were going to do is very similar to what you do today as an as an entrepreneur, and you have to motivate that person to give you the money. Magellan was in the same position. So he probably used a few models of carracks showing what they were going to do to conquer a path to the Molucca Islands and gain the power of the spices. So this probably was also used in a tiny scale to kind of seduce the Spanish crown to give them these boats. As you see, there is no space for fishing.
For what, fishing?
Fishing. Okay. So the carracks had these two covered areas to shelter yourself. If you were not on duty, if you had a few minutes to rest or to stop doing what you were doing, you could come here and protect yourself from whatever weather condition. Also, the kitchen was a mobile kitchen, just like you see there, kind of a barbecue area. If you were a member on Magellan's expedition, you had a right to 3 warm meals per week. So you knew on a Monday that on Tuesday or Wednesday you would be given some warm vinegar with a piece of jerky to eat. That was actually very good for them. Now, probably when they were thinking about the 3 warm meals, they were thinking of the Mediterranean and not what you experience today. We're actually using very nice clothing compared to what they had in the same year, the same month in 1920 when they entered the strait. Be careful, the very last step is shorter. I'm gonna use the other stair to help you downstairs. Just go down. Sorry.
Imagine sailing around the world. Yeah.
This is shorter.
Got it.
Very good.
Long way down.
Careful, careful.
Now,
And the shorter one.
Yeah.
That's right.
got it.
Okay, very good. 1, 2, 3, 4.
They have candles or
Okay.
lanterns, or how do they, anyway, how do they light their way when they were down here?
With stones.
No, I mean,
You're talking
to
about-
see light, for like candles,
Candles were
lanterns?
actually forbidden.
Well, that's
to
what
be
I
used.
wondered because of all the wood.
So, from time to time, if needed, only the carpenter was allowed to light a candle just a tiny bit. 1, they have to save them. 2, it was extremely dangerous.
Sure.
So, do you notice the light coming through the wood? This is what the carpenter had to take care of. Constantly fill the gasps with some clothing dumped in a special resin or grease to keep the water out. Of course, at some point they had to build a pump to remove the water that was right here. That was where our madam is standing. And the cow we've been talking about was also in this area with the hens.
Underneath us. The cow
No,
was on
here.
this level?
Right here.
Was on
Right
this
here.
level,
Yes.
okay.
Underneath there's just would have been a
Underneath
few
the
stones and
cows.
water. Yes.
So back to the question, how did they see down here? I mean,
with whatever little light we have right now, and very few occasions, they had permission to use a little bit of candlelight. Now,
they did for water too, because you can't live without water. You can almost live without food.
in some areas they were able to get some fresh water, but that was also a very big issue. That was a problem, constant problem for them, the lack of water. They had some wine. They could drink some wine and vinegar, but that was it. So their condition was awful, awful, especially when they were back. Awful, really, 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 really bad. Now, some of the accounts talk of them with just bones and hanging skin. Not even, the skin was not attached to their, no muscles.
Skin and bones.
Just, yes, but the skin is hanging. It's really, really bad shape. But gladly, they were able to make it back, and this has gone down in history as a huge success for the history of humankind, actually. The first full circumnavigation as opposed to a big failure. We had a second attempt in the year 1580 of the Spanish crown to settle a colony for the crown, for the King Philip, right here, about an hour south from Punta Arenas city. They arrived, 3,000 Spaniards left, only 240 finally arrived to the settlement. Children, women, families, crops, everything. They were ready to start a new Spain. Of that people, about 24 were found alive a year after by a British pirate in command of Queen Elizabeth I. He invited, he had one Spanish member. He was actually a slave, one Spanish member in the crew of this British pirate ship. No, it's not Drake. And he sends him on a boat to see this settlement. He sees the body, all the bodies of the people on the surface, they haven't been buried, and tells them, come with us. And the Spanish say, it's English pirates, so we're not coming. We're going to wait for the king to return and save us. One of them says, I'll go. And he runs away in another port. It's still in Chile, in Quinteros, what today is called Quinteros. And he's the one to tell the story. But all of them died, including, of course, the children were the first to pass away. So no one survived. That is Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa's expedition. Yeah, so, and today we think, especially when you live here and you go through history, it's the lack of technology. It would have been extremely difficult for them to, you cannot grow a potato. We're going to show you our soil. So Charles Darwin was right if you read what he wrote about us, about our land. Very poor, very dry. You will see the effect of the wind erosion. So for them to arrive, they even brought vines to produce wine. They were not going to be able to grow anything. So probably that is the reason. Up to this day, even with what we have today, it's very difficult to bloom properly in Patagonia. Shall we continue? Sure. Yes? Okay, so let's go back upstairs. But this one is shorter. We're going to use this one, the one that I used to come down. Again, be careful.
That was the ballast over.
Yes. Just rocks. Yeah.
You're going to tell the story about the ones that were lost on one side and on the Atlantic side, and they found them later on the Pacific side?
When they went to Bahia Inútil.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where did he get
You can use this here too, instead of the ropes. 'Cause the ropes are a bit unstable. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we're gonna go upstairs. We can go through either those steps or those. It's okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to stay. Thank you.
Boy, it's in a small boat to cross the mighty ocean. Gunboats.
Wow.
Some of them had an amazing number of cannons on them.
Well, this was Magellan's room. We're going in. A well-fed, wealthy man of the 1500s was in average 1 meter and 48 to 50 centimeters tall. I am taller than Magellan.
Wow,
Yeah.
they're small people.
Very, very short. Yes, that was in average. And for a woman, even shorter. We have grown, through the years.
Better nourishment.
Better nutrition.
Better nutrition. And the average, the life expectation was 65, 68. Magellan was in his 40s. So that was it. If he was gonna make it, it was not gonna be over 20 years, but that was when people are over their 85 or 88, would have been to be 60 something in the 1500s. So he was right at the right moment to go through the expedition. He was actually the oldest in the expedition. Some of the crew members were 18 and 15. Although it was quite different from Christopher Columbus. People that navigated with Magellan already knew that the ocean blue had been already crossed. In Magellan's room, we know they had a kitchen. There's one place where replica is the one when Fitzroy Captain was in charge, navigating with no less than Charles Darwin. Yeah. The one that brought all the nonsense to the boat. All the little stones and
Birds.
They were trying to throw his stuff off the boat. What are you doing?
What would they feed the cow?
What would they feed the cow?
They,
Exactly.
hay?
Yes, they brought special stuff for her. Poor thing, turned into a barbecue later on. For leadership.
Absolutely. Complete trust.
Yes, and
We studied that in business school.
yes,
Like,
his determination to not to be the one holding all the responsibility, but to make like subdivisions on duty and trust
And went back for his crew, too.
Yes. Yes, and yeah.
That's a great story.
It's beautiful.
Today.
Yes. Although, this is something I heard, but sometimes you share kind of that the Antarctic trips were seen a lot more like ego trips. I know it sounds a bit harsh. And the only thing I want to add is that we sometimes forget the human side of the story. To let this moment also be of those questions. What was he thinking? You know, what did he feel? Did he think of his wife and his 2 children back in Spain? What was his heart feeling? Was he in pain? Was he happy? What has to be that extra thing in a person to be able to go through, to pull through all the odds? Because when he entered the strait, everything he was expecting did not happen. No spices, no tropical trees, nothing but the pampas, the forest, and the wind. The church says that the earth is flat, but I know it is round, for I have seen the shadow of the earth on the moon, and I have more faith in the shadow than in the church.
Who said that? Galileo?
Ferdinand Magellan.
Oh, okay.
Coming from a deeply religious man, the idea of this, of sharing these words from Magellan, is to remember the human part of this. This is something that we also find in Charles Darwin, that we find in Shackleton, that we find in many people that are able to see through what's established and do great things. Ya. Permiso. Ahora voy a necesitar tu ayuda, querido.
Pero obvio.
Primero quiero mostrar nada más un poquito donde estamos, así como para remarla, ¿sabes?
Es parecido al que ellos tienen ahora que les pasé de la nave.
¿Sí?
Sí.
¿Dónde está el mic? Microphone. Ah, y él con su GoPro. Ella la GoPro. Ella la GoPro.
Ahí va a cargar más.
All right. Okay. So, we want to show you where we are right now.
¿Qué es lo que vamos a hacer?
Okay. This is Punta Arenas City. This is Magellan's Strait. So this is the very last corner of the continent. Talking about America. We left Punta Arenas and we're driving north to Puerto Natales City. This city is Rio Gallegos. This is Argentina. Atlantic, Pacific. From Puerto Natales, we continue to go north to enter Torres del Paine National Park, and then the closest city, it's not right here, but it's Calafate. So Punta Arenas, we're 2 hours away by land from Rio Gallegos, 3 hours away from the closest Chilean city, that would be Puerto Natales district. This is big island of Tierra del Fuego, the Fireland, and here we have the Beagle Channel, and this is the area of the conflict we're going to talk about right now. Okay? So we're gonna get closer with the help of our assistant to that very last corner. Closer to Alex. Alex is going to show you the Beagle Channel. The red line you see there is the one that we have always had with Argentina. The line follows the current of the Beagle Channel towards south. According to the Chilean interpretation, the waters continue to flow south and they do not turn down in Navarino Island. The Argentinian interpretation is that in Navarino Island the waters turn Hence, the three islands, Picton, Lennox, and Nueva, would belong to Argentina if you follow that interpretation. But if the waters continue to go south, the islands are actually Chilean as they are today.
When was the conflict? Date?
1978. Now, muchas gracias. Now, in terms of conflict, it would not be fair to say that this started in 1978. Issues regarding borders are only natural between countries that want to grow. We have had issues since 1901. We have been able to solve almost 60 issues regarding jurisdiction, territory, borders, ice fields, Patagonia, northern frontiers, etc. What was the difference in 1978? The difference was the leaders. In 1973, our country went through a military coup. And the country was in charge of General Augusto Pinochet. Have you heard about him so far?
Le conté la historia muy bien, yo hice una tesis de esto. Todo Chiloé hablamos más o menos.
Okay, so I don't think I need to talk about him. But let's keep that in mind. By 1972, Argentina and Chile, still in democracy, went through a revision of the maps and the situation of the three islands. The two countries decided to add a third party to the mix, making the final studies, cartography, and decision to support either Chilean or Argentinian interpretation of the situation in terms of cartography back south. That person was Queen Elizabeth II. And the results came out 1972. Queen Elizabeth saying that Chile was right. So the islands belong still to Chile, and the Beagle Channel division should be always the same. Now, of course, to a future economic interest, maybe today it doesn't seem that important, but in the future it will be. Argentina has no way out to the Pacific without the jurisdiction of those three islands. So for future investments, for a new door towards Pacific and Antarctica, yes, it is important. So we go into military government. ¿Tú usaste la palabra dictadura o military government?
Military.
¿Tú eres de derecha o de izquierda?
Yo, más allá que la concha.
Para tener cuidado con las cosas, porque no sé qué.
No, porque les conté que mi mamá había muerto en el 73 y todo lo.
Perfect. Okay, so now you know, because of the introduction that Alex did for you, what the country was going through in 1973. Argentina they had their own military coup about 2 years later than us. And the profile of the dictator is very special. This is quite interesting. We have been through kind of a profile of the explorer. Now we enter the profile of the dictator. And we need to talk about someone very special. And this man is Leopoldo Fortunato Galtieri. And this is a dictator that you need to multiply Pinochet by 1,000, and you would get closer to the profile and the mind of this man in Argentina. He does not have the support of the people. Argentina is actually going through a very rough time. He knows he is not loved and trusted. So he decides to go plan B. And plan B is to name external enemies. Number one enemy of the Argentinian people, Chile and Pinochet. And these are things that are told on television and radio over and over and over again. Number two, England. The reason we have stolen these 3 islands from Argentina, and England has stolen the Malvina Islands from them too. But in Malvina we're talking Atlantic, you know, very, very close to them.
Ojo que Malvinas no distinguen que son las.
When I say Malvinas, I'm talking about the Falkland Island. Yes. So the tone of the discussion changes. This is no longer an issue, but this is a threat of Chile towards Argentina. And Galtieri sees this as an opportunity to regain the heart of the people by conquering and gaining back what belongs to their people, again to Argentinian territory. And the boiling point of this issue comes in 1978. November 1978, Argentina shuts down the borders. We cannot connect with the rest of the continent by land. It causes a huge effect on our economy. Oh, we need to make a pause. We're gonna push pause because we have, oh yeah, to your left hand side, a lesser Ria. Only a few minutes away from Punta Arenas, we already enjoy wildlife. Por aquí, tienen uno muy cerca ahí que, ahí. 1, 2, 3 Rias, lesser Ria. In Chile, all the Rias, we call them ñandús. But in reality, the lesser Ria is a choique. The ñandú is the greater Ria. Ñandú is a word that finds its etymological roots in Paraguay. This is the Guarani language, the native groups of Paraguay. The original name is ñandú azul, the big spider. When you see them running, they actually look like a spider going up through a wall. They don't run even, they kind of move to the sides, yes, using their wings to control the balance. They nest on depressions on the grass. Nothing too fancy, but still the male has to take care of the nest and make it inviting for the females. The females will lay the eggs and he will incubate them. He waits for them to hatch, making sure that some of them are broken. And the rotten eggs will infect the nest with bugs. And that will be the first diet of the freshly born ñandús. When they are babies, we call them charas, the little ones. The male will be the one to take care of them, make sure that they are safe, guide them to good grasses, away from predators, and they will stay together up to 3 years. 3 years before they enter adulthood. So it's a long journey for daddy. Sometimes we see big groups of them, and our tendency is to think that it's females. It could be a male with 2 or 3 year olds that still are not ready to go into adulthood. That means for the ladies to go and lay the eggs and graze and eat grains or bugs or whatever they find. And for the males, start preparing nests and invite the females to lay the eggs for them, and then they will start taking care of their offspring. This was also part of the basic diet of the land hunters. Our native groups used the ñandú as a sort of protein. They also used to not drink but suck the marrow of the bones. Another very good source of good fats and protein, and sometimes mix the marrow with calafate and make little truffles, dry them up and carry them along as they were walking, eating like, it was like their M&Ms. We're gonna start moving the bus. Someone said? M&Ms, yes. The tendons of the rhea are quite strong. When they are dry, they are almost like the strings on a guitar. So they were very good for the natives to be used to tie up the arrows. So the ñandú was not only a source of food, but a very good source for instruments. I'm not talking music, but I'm talking about the building of, designing of the arrows, their tents, as ropes, the skin, everything could be used. Ñandú. Now, going back to the issue with Argentina, what happens in 1978, I'm talking November, the Argentinian leaders decide that it's a good time to invade Chile. Target is Punta Arenas city. They claim that after conquering Punta Arenas, they will be able to enter Valparaíso, and then La Moneda, that's Santiago de Chile, that's our White House, in just a few days. And of course, and especially such a rough time, the heart, we have in Southern America football and nationalism, something happens to a region and we all get together. So of course it draws huge energy, popularity for the leaders to the fact that they were going to be able to conquer back the islands and invade Chile and have control. Imagine that they were entering Punta Arenas and they would have been able to control Magellan's Strait. So it was very good news for them. Plus, Chile was in a very, very bad shape in terms of military investment. We were going through difficult times. We could not buy any weapons from any other countries. So Pinochet's idea or goal was to let the conflict linger. So he would travel, he would go back and forth from Argentina, trying to talk to their leaders, trying to talk to the other generals and convince them of conversations. And it's Pinochet's idea actually to start thinking later on in time of the intervention of John Paul II. So the war that was going to come in December 1978, close to Christmas, was going to be the Christmas War, due to the efforts of the generals in Chile, plus weather conditions and other circumstances, does not really happen. It's kind of in between brackets. We're gonna leave it there. Argentina decides not to enter Chile, not to invade Punta Arenas city, and to set the issue aside. Little did the generals knew that only 4 years later, their own leaders would declare war to Margaret Thatcher. A big fish, and this is another part of the profile of the dictator. Chile is not that important. Chile is not going to bring that much popularity. Some people don't even know what Punta Arenas is. But if we go after the big fish, that is going to get me a much, much better ranking point in popularity and the gaining of the trust of the people. 1982 comes. I will not go into details about what happened, about what is still an open wound in the Argentinian pueblo, the Argentinian people. And Margaret Thatcher answers back with an iron fist. Plus, she was going herself through tough times with the miners' strike, with privatization, people were not very happy about her government, or kind of fractured in their opinion about her, and the opportunity comes. So using less than 10% of their military power, they're able to win the war. That was actually not really a war. What was that? Oh, don't worry. We're gonna see another family of Yantus. What happens? Chile signs a treaty to make amends with Argentina. But Argentina leaders are still thinking that they will be able to enter Chile after the war with England. After Malvinas, Argentina goes back to democracy. And with the voice of the people, they decide not to continue with the conflict in Chile and not to go to war or invade our territory. We finally signed the peace treaty in 1985, and the Pope comes to Chile in 1987. I still remember when the Pope came to Punta Arenas city. He was not only a voice for the Catholic Church, he was a voice for those who did not have a voice during those years. I remember my mom's tears at the stadium, and his blessing that the two countries would never go through such a conflict ever again. So today, this is only a story. Some people don't have no idea what happened during the conflict over the Beagle Channel and those 3 islands where actually no one lives. And a lot of Argentinians cannot connect the Malvina War with the Beagle Channel conflict with Chile. And there is something that you have to know. When England came to this part of the world to enter back to Argentina, they needed a helping hand. They talked to the Air Force General, Matei, asking for logistics support, mainly information. So that would be Chile supporting England to win the war with Argentina. And the answer was yes. A big sounding yes. In Pinochet's mind, if England wins over Argentina, Argentina would have had less intentions to enter Chilean territory. So he sees this as an opportunity to protect Punta Arenas and to protect Chile from the Argentinian invasion. So yes, Chile did support England during those years. Then again, not every Argentinian is able to connect Malvinas and Beagle and why Chile or the generals supported England with information, what they were doing, the movements of Argentina throughout the land, spies. And this was actually something that Matei alone had to do because Pinochet did not want the other side to know what we were doing, what they were doing here. I know a veteran of 1978. He was actually only 21 when he was a member of the Air Force on the trenches in northern Patagonia at the very end of an Air Force base at the airport. There was the trench, and only 50 meters away was the Argentinian trench. They could see each other without any problem. And he tells me that one day, November 12th, 1978, they see one of the Argentinians waving with a t-shirt to the Chilean trench, asking for permission to approach. And this Chilean says, let's talk to the Master Chief. What did he say? Okay, let the Argentinian come over. And the Argentinian had something, what I carry with me at all times, like this. This is hierba, or yerba, mate, the mate leaves. We drink our beloved mate. And he's carrying a bag of this, comes to the Chilean trench and asks, if we could share mate, because they did not have any sugar. And the Chileans had a lot of rancho. They have very good food. They have sugar, they have candy. They have this really yummy survivor cans with everything you would need, including tobacco, cigarettes out of their ears. And the Argentinian soldiers didn't. So it was a good chance to share. This is day one. A few days later, all the Argentinian guys knew that one of the soldiers on the Chilean side had a 4-day-old daughter waiting back at home. But this situation at some point had to change. So their Master Chief decided to tell them, this is the last sharing mate moment. Now everyone is going back to their trenches, because at some point you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to shoot your friend, your buddy? How are you going to do that? So, goodbye, nice to meet you. Let's remember that we're just about to go to war. That was the conflict. That was the feeling of the soldiers. Smoking, sharing mate, talking about their newborn daughter. That was it. War does not come to happen. He's able to go back home in December, waiting to see what's going to happen with the conflict. Then 1982, then 1985, then 1998. Chile is back in democracy, and we have this beautiful open areas for aircraft. And now the soldier is a Master Chief. He's very good in logistics, he has tons of recognition, and he's given the task to give land support to the planes that we have in Punta Arenas, take them to the open market in Santiago to show them. And this is something we do every few years. It's called FIDAE. It's an international feria, and we have the Air Force from the United States, from the Netherlands, from Poland, everywhere they come, and we have this beautiful parties, and you can see the shows. You actually walk in and they have the Top Gun music, because it's all about, having fun and making good relationships with Air Force of other countries. And this time, the Chilean post and the Argentinian one are right next to each other. And remember what happened with Malvinas. So that's not going to be easy, being right next to them. So people feel betrayed. Plus, some of them were in opposite trenches in 1978. So this Chilean, now Master Chief, sees that one of the Argentinians is carrying a very special patch. It's a patch that only veterans from Malvina War can wear. This is a patch that says Malvinas Argentinas with the 2 flags and 2 golden laurels. All of the Argentinian soldiers can wear the Malvina patch, but only veterans that were there in Malvina War, that went through it, can wear the 2 golden honor laurels. So this Chilean guy remembers 1978, remembers the trenches, remembers the mate, and decides to approach this Argentinian and ask him for a drink. Says him, would you have a drink with me? I would love to talk to you. I need to talk about Beagle and Malvinas. And the Argentinian says, Chileno, of course I will have that drink with you. And they sit down and go through their feelings, the conflicts. This Chilean soldier hears every single detail about what happened in Malvinas, about how he is starved, about how a lot of them had to surrender to the British army to be able just to have a coffee. The Chilean talks about the fear of the people of Punta Arenas, how families open trenches in their backyards to protect their children if the Argentinians were to come and invade. And at the end of this meeting, they decide that they were going to make amends in the name of the two countries. That they're not going to wait for a huge universal change, but they stand up, hug each other, wish each other the best, and toast for the peace and the love and eternal fraternity of the two countries. And something very special happens. And if you know an Argentinian, you know this is something that comes from a very deep, intimate, powerful place. The Argentinian grabs the patch and gives it to the Chilean and says, keep this in your family for generations. If something happens, tell the story. Don't let this go through history unnoticed. Would you like to see that patch? Yeah? Give me a second. This is the patch. As you notice, it says Islas Malvinas, the Argentinian flags, Malvina Island, and the laurels. So this was given and was worn by a veteran. And this is the soldiers, the Chilean soldiers' name. My name is Maria Jose Cabezas. I am the 4-day-old. This is my father, and this patch was given to my family. Through a toast, conversation, and the crazy idea, my father, he is like that a microscopic change can have an effect in history. And I brought something else. This is a medal that was given to him by Pinochet. I know it's in a very, 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 very difficult place, but it was given only to those who were serving when the country was back to democracy. So in a way to say goodbye, he gave them this medal. It will also be in the family. Pinochet, Galtieri, history of Southern America. The medal says, Por Chile, misión cumplida. To Chile, mission accomplished. On the other side, it said something that I have learned through him. La patria está por sobre nuestras vidas. The country before our own lives. I brought this because I know that you can Google about the war. I know that there are tons of papers, documents, but I'm sure that you will not hear about something like this. So it's a bit private, I know, but I'm also positive that this is something that you're going to take in your hearts more than in your thoughts. Thank you. Hay un caballero llorando. Okay. Very important question. Two very important questions. To be able to save by giving them money to support them as they live in Argentina is less expensive than paying for a university degree here in Chile. Second question. Are there issues? Yes, there are. I will not sugarcoat this. I've been through Argentina, all of Patagonia many times, and I have never had a problem. But as soon as you get to a center, to the big cities, it's different, and you feel it. But then again, in my case, and I think also, I don't want to talk for Alex, but you know where it comes from.
Yeah.
So you see this from a different perspective because it's a symptom, you know, of another issue. So when something like this happens, when I'm told something, and it's always regarding Malvinas, I never answer back because you know the context. You know what happened, you know how they feel. I cannot justify them, but I understand. And it happens to a lot of us. We don't talk about Beagle, the Beagle issue, what happened, that we were so afraid. But I think a lot of us, being so close to them, mixed families, we know where that comes from. So we're more flexible when it comes to that.